It's Wednesday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Alabama Slam podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? It's Patrick Akers.
Who heals faster, John Cena or Darby?
Apparently Darby.
Apparently, yeah. We'll get to that.
Let's get into AEW for the week. Before we get too into it, did either of y'all happen to get a chance to watch Mill in a Match with Eddie Kingston?
I did watch that, actually.
I watched it today. Yeah, I didn't plan on watching it, but a clip popped up on TikTok or whatever.
Was that the one where he injured himself? Because I've just seen clips of it. If that's the one we're talking.
No, well, the Mill in a Match.
No. Okay, okay.
New show,
new show. No, I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it was entertaining. It was like 23 minutes.
Yeah, it looked like it was actually going to try to be on TV. And the network or somebody said, nah, it was put on YouTube. Because like 22 minutes, that's ideal for commercial time. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So,
yeah, it's cool.
It's good. I think that they should probably not jump around for, like, if you're going to appeal to a wrestling fan base, you actually need to dig in, I think, deeper into one match and open up the curtain a little bit and talk about like hope spots and, things like that.
That's what I thought it was going to be because it's called Mill in a Match, not Mill in 3 matches.
Yeah.
The WWE did something similar where they had Punk and Randy sit down and review their WrestleMania match from way back when.
Yeah.
But I get the impression this is going to be slightly more produced. So
yeah, and this was different. It wasn't like they were looking at Eddie's matches. They did 3 random matches.
Which I thought that was also weird.
It was kind of neat in one aspect because I was like, oh shit, I forgot about some of these because there was like 3 matches from 2020. It was like Penta versus Ray and Ricky Starks versus Darby Allin.
Yeah.
And then Private Party and Young Bucks for the first, was it the first tag team tournament?
Back when Private Party was still had hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was fun to watch, I thought.
Would you say it's must watch?
No,
I wouldn't say that.
I mean, we already got 10 plus hours of wrestling every week.
Yeah, but some of that's garbage.
Oh, true. I just watched it because I needed a quick break, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm sitting here."
It's just it was odd to me that they didn't do any Eddie Kingston matches because that was a little bit like if you were to get Brad Pitt, but he just talks about like, "Oh, I really like Step Brothers, and we're going to do 30 minutes on Step Brothers." It's like, yeah, but I'd rather hear you talk about shit you actually were a part of. You know what I mean?
I don't know. That'd be kind of entertaining.
Maybe that example was bad. Yeah, on the one hand. But I do think,
seeing Brad Pitt being like, I really like that scene where he stretches testicles across the drums.
Bro, I love Step Brothers. I watch it every time.
Any fucking time.
It's can't miss. But I think one of the things that wrestling is doing now that I think other sports and entertainment things have kind of picked up on is like the fans actually do want this behind the scenes nerdy kind of content.
Yeah, I like it because, I mean, I really enjoyed AEW All Access, and they haven't announced if that's happening anymore. I assume at this point, we're halfway into the year, and they haven't mentioned it. It's not happening again, right? Was that a 1-season deal or?
I always like the because WWE does it like the WrestleMania documentary ones because those were always fun as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of clips kept popping up today, and I don't know if this is a new thing or not because I haven't seen it advertised. Maybe it's just something that's lived on the Peacock for a while, but it's a lot of them talking about how they got Stone Cold to come back for WrestleMania 38. And so it's a lot of behind the scenes talk.
I saw him in the car crying.
Yeah, and it's like stuff of like KO and Sammy talking about the first time they met Steve Austin in an airport, and like Sami Zayn was asleep, and KO was like, we got to go. And so they're both, it's intercut. They're telling the story, and, KO's like, Sammy's running behind me, like, who we gonna fight? It's just Sammy. He thought he was waking up to go jump somebody or get jumped or whatever. He's like, well, at least he was ready to ride. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing that's the kind of shit that I love to watch. So this, I think like it could use some work for sure. Like they could cut a little time out of it. It doesn't need to be 23 minutes. 15 minutes would probably be good, right? They can get through a match or two. I don't know. I kind of like them watching other matches, especially from 2020, because I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about a lot of this. And some of them were like from the pandemic era. Well, they may have all been from the pandemic.
I think they all were from, yeah. But yeah, it's just that thing where it's going to have to skirt the line between, is it going to play in the world of kayfabe, or is it going to be actually out of it completely? And I think it's more interesting to fans if it is out of it completely and actually deep dives. Because, like, the NFL has done this with the quarterback series for Netflix. Like, most people probably wouldn't, you wouldn't think people would be that interested in the nitty-gritty lives of these quarterbacks. But, like, now you have NFL fans that can diagram up plays. They can read defenses, like, and the NFL popularity continues to grow because I think people understand it more. So wrestling has always kind of been behind the curtain, but I think the way to expand the fan base and to actually get people to appreciate the art form that it is to open it up a little bit.
But you have to be careful too, because I mean, we're in season of Hard Knocks, and some of those are better than others.
True, yeah.
True, but wrestling at this point, it would be like season 1 of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Because it's been blocked behind a curtain for so long.
Yeah, well, and it's not high stakes shit on YouTube either with these, like, I don't know. I talking about being out of kayfabe, Eddie was talking about how he called up the Young Bucks and was like, hey, good job, whatever, like.
But I mean, maybe we'll see more of this too with the Netflix deal. I mean, they said they're going to be producing more content than just, Raw. So, I mean, who knows what we'll get. I mean, I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my bucket list right now is the Life in Carneyland, because I want to see how batshit Smashing Pumpkins guy. Billy Corgan, thank you. Billy Corgan and his thing is.
Well, that was the thing I wanted to ask you, because there's a lot of the folks that have been through New South that are going to be at a NWA taping on June 2nd, so the following weekend. How far out do you know how they, like, does it air the following week, or how does that work?
It's been a while since I've sat down on, because when I was watching NWA, it wasn't behind the paywall.
Gotcha.
And so Power with the 13 R's was just a YouTube special kind of thing, and now they've popped it behind the paywall, and I lost touch with it a little bit. The guy I was most invested in died, so
So they're not on CW yet?
Not yet. It's coming. Gotcha. I think it'll probably be around the same time.
Yeah, they announced Dylan McQueen is going to be there as well. So there's Dylan McQueen, Hunter Drake, Tyler Franks, who is the current New South champion. And they're all, I think, as part of Kenzie and Kylie Page's territory, which is pretty cool.
I should just check it out again, just because, what's another 2 hours of content of wrestling in a week where you have to watch.
Pretty soon it's going to be like
15 hours of wrestling.
Clockwork Orange scene where he's sitting there and it's just his eyes wide open watching the thing.
Yeah. Well, let's get into Dynamite. I got a few notes here. See what you guys have got. I said my first note is they're coming in hot with Mox and Danielson versus Jeff Cobb and Kyle Fletcher. At first, when they said that match was happening, I was like, nobody cares. But it's like they came out of the gate, just guns a-blazing.
It looked a little soft to me. I'm not going to lie. The beginning of it was a little soft.
Really?
Yeah. They were.
Crowd was into it.
Yeah, the crowd was into it, but they were phoning some of those shots in. And I'm like, oh, this isn't your standard AEW match. Somebody must be hurt. Well, then as it picked up, they started laying them in a little bit tighter. Then
later this week, there have been the reports saying that Danielson probably needs surgery.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it looked
well, why did they come out separately? I mean, that's BCC usually comes out together. So why'd they have the separate entrances?
I think it would only be because you can do the little gimmick where you let Danielson's entrance music play while they're brawling. That's the only thing I could think of.
Because they didn't even show the Dynamite open, did they?
No, they came straight from Black. Yeah. And
so we know Cobb. I mean, here we go. Cobb is filling in for Hobb. I guess you got to find a guy that rhymes. So,
yeah.
So if Cobb goes down, I guess we're going to look for a Bob.
Yeah. Which I was kind of like, why was this not Takeshi though?
Yeah, exactly what I'm thinking. And I get you got the thing at the end, but still, that could have been done. You sneak the win in. He pops up. He does the thing he does. They walk off.
Because they're doing Mox and Takeshita at Double or Nothing. This could have been
I mean, that's a classic booking move to throw the two guys who are going to face each other in a singles match into a tag team match.
My rant here. If you need a title on a dude to get it over or get him over, it better be your show's title. I don't need to see the IWJP heavyweight title. I don't need to see the ROH titles. I don't need to see the AAA titles. I don't need to see the CMLL titles. I don't need the FTW titles. If you were going to put a title on dude to get him over or get that title over, make it a title that's worthwhile on your show.
The only thing that I would say about the IWGP is that we are getting into the Forbidden Door season where this is probably going to come back up again.
Was that not what CMLL was doing 6 months ago? We were getting into Forbidden Door season?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but that was maybe so that's what we thought. It was a little premature. Those guys have disappeared completely. You always like to, I don't know, I just give AEW the benefit of the doubt when they do things like that. And then it's like a thing where like, oh yeah, the CMLL guys, they completely have disappeared from the show. And you're like, okay, well, I thought we were gearing up to do something.
This was the thing I thought about in terms of Forbidden Door was like, in the last few years, the big attractions for doing a thing like Forbidden Door was you get a match with Jay White. You get a match with Will Ospreay.
Or with Okada,
You get a match with Okada.
You got all them guys now.
And now, like, those are all AEW folks. Like, who's left? Because I don't watch. I mean, those are the names that I knew from New Japan.
Is it also forbidden if you're showing up every other day? I mean, they show the people from other companies show up more often than the people that working in the companies at times.
Well, there was a run there. The CML guys were in there. I don't know when and Cobb is in New Japan, so I guess he's popped in. I really don't even know because I mean Moxley is the New Japan champion right now, and you got Shota Umino and Shingo and some guys like that who have Naito. They can pop back up here pretty soon, but like. Yeah, to your point, Corey, like the draw of a Forbidden Door was like, oh shit, we're going to see Okada stateside. It's like, well, he's here. He's he's in the company.
That's Wednesday night.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
He did better when he was not in the company. Just for
the booking of Okada has been lackluster so far. I feel hopefully they've got some sort of plan for him, but
it's okay. Let's just get into this. It is. I get the premise they're doing. The Bucks are the EVPs. They have power. They're the heels. But that only goes so far because they're not threatening. Jack Perry ain't exactly a big mountain of muscle. Neither of the Bucks are big mountain of muscle. Okada's bigger than all three of them if you combine them. I mean, and that's not saying much. So they need to. They recruited an outside group to do it. Only one of those dudes is a quote unquote monster in AEW, and that monster is weak sauce monster because I mean he's getting punked left and right too. So I mean you need them to have somebody like that has that size or some kind of threat to them to make them scary, or they need to be abusing their powers left and right. And at this point they're not. So they are not an effective heel team at this stage. So it's not selling the story.
I think they miss an opportunity with the Bucks and Daniels and Seidel tag team match to really showcase we're not fucking around and this show belongs to us.
I kept waiting for it because one of the two of y'all mentioned that it needed to end in like fucking bloody
I thought
chaos.
It was like they're good. We're going to wheel Daniels out. Yeah. And as he's getting wheeled out, oh, by the way,
you're fired.
Thanks for everything you've done. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Yeah.
Enjoy your ER visit.
Nope.
And it just didn't happen.
Thank you for a decent match. Here's your severance.
Yeah.
I don't think I even put it on them. I might have put it on. I don't know.
And realistically, I mean, we're getting Curry Man, right?
Yeah. But like, how much more effective would it have been if like, Luchasaurus and comes out because he's helping the Bucks, and we get Okada comes back out, and
Cage and the Gates of Agony to give them some kind of heat,
and they all start beating the hell out of Daniels and Seidel, and out comes security, and Matthew Jackson gets on the mic and says, if any one of you sons of bitches step in this ring, you're all fired. And they all have to sit there and look at each other because what the hell? Okay, he actually has some power. Tony is apparently still not here, so they are in charge. What are we going to do? And then they beat him down. Okay, now you can come. Or even he looks at Doc Sampson, because Doc Sampson is basically a character on AEW at this point. Mm-hmm. Doc tries to slide in the ring. Nuh-uh. No, not yet. If you want to keep this job, you stand right there till we're good and ready for you to come in.
He says he's fine. You sit down.
Yeah, you didn't hear that. Oh, he's okay. He's fine. He can keep going. But like something like that. And that, because if you're going to do a NWO style invasion or an angle, That's what those guys did.
And
NWO just ran the show.
They started off strong with when they took out Kenny and beat him from the ring all the way back to the ambulance, pulled him back out of the ambulance essentially and beat his ass some more. You start off strong, but they led with their hardest stuff and then have just been like, we're okay.
And just continue those beatdowns. Yeah. Just keep it going. When people go up against us, they leave in an ambulance. And I don't, it's not that effective when it's like, hey, you're fired. It's like, okay, we need something more there if you're going to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
Group.
I wonder if they'll even work that back into a story at some point with him getting his job back or whatever. Because he's removed from the website.
Yeah. I did like Jack Perry being on commentary, but I wanted a little bit more. Yeah. But I did like him being the little smarky, like, let's raise the toast to our EVPs, and then he puts the gives it on Shivani.
I've got a note here about poor Shivani getting an energy drink poured on his head.
Yeah.
That was funny. Poor Shivani, though. I also do feel bad. Like, that's sticky and fucking nasty.
Even worse, it was a Ric Flair energy drink.
Yeah.
Thanks for making the edit there, because I saw that and I was like, who the fuck is Cole? It's supposed to say Cope gets attacked by the House of Black. They choke him out and take off the ring from Copeland's finger, and then Kyle O'Reilly tries to help out, but doesn't really have much luck there.
I would care more about this story if the House of Black was a legitimate threat to anybody and hadn't lost everything they've ever competed in, and if this wasn't the same story they told with him in WWE before he left too.
Yeah, the House of Black at one point was fucking undefeatable. Like, you could not beat them, and that's the way that faction should probably stay most of the time until you break them up. Because what else are they really doing with the trios titles lately? Like, it was way more entertaining to me when they were just running roughshod over everybody. But
I mean, they even had their own special set of rules that have just gone by all the wayside now.
No. I mean, up until she lost the belt, Julia at least had the rules going.
Well, I guess that's true, yeah.
But still, she was the only one carrying it.
Yeah. The House of Black is just, it's one note. And usually Malachi's promos are like, I'm going to expose who you really are. That's kind of been his thing since he's been in AEW.
But has he really exposed anybody?
Well, no. I mean, not.
I mean, you can
not really.
That'd be like J. Jonah Jameson saying, I'm gonna get exposés of everybody, and then just selling soft every time. No.
I mean, the kick to Kyle O'Reilly was kind of stiff. So that was kind of cool. But that was about the only thing that kind of really had going for it. I'm not super interested in Malachi versus Adam Copeland.
Hey, but he's turning bad. Maybe.
I mean, I am kind of interested in that a little bit.
Is he really turning bad, or is he just doing the same stuff he's been doing since he got back when Christian told him to fuck off?
Yeah. I wouldn't be mad at a Copeland type of heel run, but I don't need to see him team up with Christian right away when he does that.
Yeah.
But down the line, a Copeland Christian heel tag team, I mean, there is something there. You got to get there first without losing all the interest of the people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you got to figure that's one of the reasons he came over to AEW was to get another ride with him before it's time to hang it up. And he's basically said last week, he's like, I've got maybe a year or two left.
Seems like everybody over there says that, though, don't they?
He might actually only have.
Yeah.
I mean, he is 51, 52, something like that. He's in phenomenal shape.
You know who hasn't said that yet? Jericho.
God damn it.
Yeah.
The writing's on the fucking wall there, though. Whew. So we get a Swerve appearance, and the Patriarchy beats him down after he takes out Brian Cage in a singles match.
Okay. Let's be honest here. They had a timer at the start of this show. 56 minutes till we get Brian Cage and Swerve. What are you telling me? I got 56 minutes before I need to go to the bathroom, or I need to go out and buy some dinner and go grocery shopping or something? Because ain't nobody clamoring for that match.
Yeah, I like Swerve, and I hope people don't start shitting on Swerve because he's the champion at a time when the show is going through some changes and turmoil and stuff, because I do think he's doing a good job. I think he's doing about as good as you can ask for him to do. But Yeah, him and Brian Cage. It was fine.
It was fine.
It was cool. It's cool to see Brian Cage get moments where he can throw shit around.
Love seeing it. Does it all the time. You know what it usually ends with? Him taking a loss.
Yeah.
Because again, all you're doing is you've got your jobbers that are at least in-house this time, but they're still jobbers. And you've done nothing to build these people up because every match they're in, the only time he has won a match is when it was a trios match with somebody else helping that trio.
He's a little bit like how Kane was. Kane had a run there where it was like, oh, you're going up. All the babyfaces was like, you're going up against Kane. And it was supposed to be like, oh, it's spooky. It's like, well, no, Kane loses all the matches now, though. It's not like this is not 1999 Kane anymore. I mean, I like Swerve and Christian will be fine. I think they'll put on a good match. I mean, the AEW pay-per-views are usually pretty good.
Yeah, I think as long as they keep doing the story of, like we talked about Swerve paying retribution for all the people that he's done wrong in the last 6 months or whatever. That could be the good, the storyline for him moving forward the next few weeks. They don't all have to be bangers with him.
Well, it's taking a different direction though now because he's not paying for all the things he's done anymore. Now he's, paying off. He's paying back his lackeys that did absolutely nothing really because he was the one doing it all.
Well, but I mean, he's got Nick Wayne this week too, and he broke into Nick Wayne's fucking house.
Yeah,
quote unquote.
Yeah, but Nick isn't going to get over on that. That match is going to end with him doing the same. It'll be a replay of what happened the last 2 weeks where he goes over. They then jump him. So it's I need a different angle for this to really hook me at this stage.
This seems like we really are just buying time to get to All In and get to London.
Yeah.
With a lot of different people, it seems like that's where we're going. WWE can do that because they're a machine and they're massive. And I don't know if AEW needs to necessarily be cruise controlling their way to certain events. Like I kind of think at this point they need to be all hands on deck, balls to the wall. Let's just figure it out. Fuck it. Let's make the best possible show. There might not be a next week. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I mean the last few shows have been better for Dynamite. Now Collision not so much. Although there were a couple of moments that were okay in Collision this week, but like they're getting better about building Dynamite lately. They really need to build Collision better. And I do agree with you as much as I laugh at some of the things that you say and how you say them, Stephen. I do agree that they could do a better job of building up some of their people. Why we don't need people from other promotions.
You didn't need Brian Keith versus Boulder? I mean, I that was on my bucket list match over here.
I mean, I'm not going to argue. Like, you've got a point. I did think it was like we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and finish out a little bit of Dynamite and get into Collision, and then I want to get to what we were texting about today. Okada and Dax beat the shit out of each other. Okada wins. The Elite come out to beat down Dax, and Danielson tries to help. Darby Allin comes in for the save. He'll take Kingston's place at Anarchy in the arena. That feels like we talked about that last week, but I know we didn't because this show happened after we recorded. So Darby's a good choice, I think, for Team AEW, but Jesus Christ, how quickly does he heal?
I don't think he's fully healed. I think because this is going to be, a multi-man match, he can kind of coast a lot. But I saw that. Well, let me rephrase that. I saw a picture of a broken foot. I don't know whose foot it is, but I saw somebody's broken foot, and that ain't a month-long heal because that was
3 fucking bones.
Yeah, and then with a bus attached to it.
I mean, you could make the case that Darby Allin should be the AEW World Champion, right? Just because he's unbeatable. Like if you can get hit by a bus and come back two weeks later, like how, I don't know. Like maybe they should bill him like he's Brock Lesnar and he's just unkillable.
Let me also make this case though to you. How many people got to put this guy over?
Well,
I mean, because you've now got another legitimate Hall of Famer trying to push this guy, and he ain't getting where you can make the case that he could be the world champ, but he ain't over.
Well, I mean, how many people in AEW are actually over though? Maybe that's a bigger.
But I mean,
it's a bigger problem.
We're now to 5 Hall of Famers that have pushed him.
Yeah. Well, he certainly is. Like, if you start running down the list of AEW stars, I mean, he is at least in the top
15.
He's around the 10-ish range.
I mean, yeah, just judging like the merch sales and the kids' makeup and shit like that's in the crowd when he's
like, I would say Darby's a bigger star than both of the FTR guys, even as a group.
Yeah,
agreed.
You know, and I think he's bigger. I think he is more. You know, he probably is on the level of like the Young Bucks. Like top AEW stars, I think MJF would have to be on there.
Yep.
Obviously Moxley, Danielson, Swerve, Ospreay. And then I think this is where you could start making a case where, okay, who do we, you know,
probably Darby.
I'd say Paige is higher than him.
But you can make an argument that's where we're start. Like you could start there. Like Hangman Page, Darby Allin. That's where. So he's not that far off.
I mean, he's a Guevara.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is he ahead of Jack Perry at this stage? Jack Perry's getting more screen time. He's in a higher.
He's getting more screen time, but I think
has had less Hall of Famers rub him.
Yeah, I think Darby is in that group though. But yeah, I mean,
but for the amount of effort you would put into him, he should be top 5.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I wouldn't argue against that necessarily, but like if it wouldn't,
you got a pretty damn solid top 5 though.
If it wasn't Darby, and I mean he's also top 5. Like shit, Bryan Danielson fucking is one of the most beloved.
I mean, Eddie Kingston would be ahead of him.
I don't know about that.
I think Darby and Kingston are on the same kind of level. The way that you feel that AEW maybe hasn't done as good of a job as Darby Allin, I feel that same kind of way about Eddie Kingston. I would have thought Kingston would have been a bigger star than what he is in AEW right now.
4 months ago, I would have said Ricky Starks was higher than him.
Yeah.
Well, I think they got word Ricky's WWE bound, and they said, "All right, well, you can just sit at home then."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No use in putting you on TV if you're out the door.
I don't disagree with that line of thinking. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, at the same time, but then why do we get fucking Boulder on TV? Like,
yeah, but do you want to showcase the guy that you know for a fact, or at least have a strong suspicion that he's going somewhere else?
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. I did think the Dynamite was a good show last week. It's starting to have that old Dynamite feel again. And then now we switched to Collision, which had it felt like there were 17 matches in Collision.
Half of them were squashes.
Yeah, it was
with jobbers. Yep,
it was so weird, but it did have some good moments. Claudio hates promos. Did y'all laugh at that shit as much as I did? Like where they're doing the interview, and he's like, I don't want to go out there and talk about how good I am, and I was laughing my ass off. I thought that was pretty funny. The next note I have says, imagine having to tap out to Hook. I don't even remember who tapped out to Hook.
That would have been Johnny TV.
Okay.
I say this every time this guy's on screen. I'm sure he is a great kid. Okay. He is just a black hole of uninteresting charisma, and it just kills the momentum anytime he's on the screen. And it's not necessarily his fault. He's just simply not ready for this moment. And I don't know why this company keeps putting him in these positions to have this. You know, this is this would be like putting a 6-foot point guard and trying to make him play center against Shaquille O'Neal. It's like, this is not how you put these people in the best position.
Yeah, for a Saturday night show, like at this point, if they had him on Rampage every Friday, I'd be like, okay, fine.
Well,
he doesn't need to be on fucking Dynamite or Collision.
It is the way he's positioned. Yeah. He is positioned as this berserker, ass kicker extraordinaire. And they build him as 201 pounds. If that motherfucker's 201 pounds, I am 1978 Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay? He might be 165 pounds. And it's not like we've seen him, like, I think small guys could, like if Conor McGregor came into the WWE, okay, and just did a one-off and they did a little angle where like he punches, they do the fake punches and he's knocking people out, that would be believable because we've seen Conor McGregor actually knock out people in real life. Hook is not a martial artist. He was a lacrosse player. No offense to lacrosse players, but like if you're going down the list of toughest athletes and the toughest athletes that play sports,
it's not rugby.
It ain't rugby. It ain't football. It ain't hockey. You know, it's basically rich white dudes playing this sport. And he physically looks like a string bean. He is in phenomenal shape for a normal person.
Sure.
He's not Buddy Matthews. If Buddy Matthews was in this position, you'd be like, well, that dude looks like a fucking killer. He's ripped to the gills. He's fucking jacked. This is just a dude.
Hey, who happens to have a famous father in the wrestling community.
And listen, kudos to his dad. Because his dad has to be putting him on hard. And like Father of the Year award goes out to Taz. But at some point, if you are the creative that are if you're Tony Khan or any of these other writers or whoever that is responsible for pitching stories in AEW, at some point you have to be like, could his time that we give to Hook not be better suited to somebody else? He's not good at promos and he can only wrestle 5-minute matches. And we're the company, we're the best wrestler. We're trying to get that over.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's hard. Jericho is trying as hard as he can. He's got his own list of problems because this shit is just annoying as fuck to me. So this comes on the screen and I'm like, I just want to stop watching.
Yeah.
Or like, luckily I recorded it, so I just fast forward. I don't even know anything. I know that they had a little thing, but I fast forwarded completely.
You didn't miss much.
Yeah.
The last note I have is how hard I laughed when Toni Storm stands behind Serena Deeb's flag, takes her clothes off behind it and slings them away and then wraps herself in that flag. I laughed so fucking hard. I know we were all talking about how the character was kind of played out a few weeks ago, but whatever extra step she's taken it up, she's taken it to another level and it's working lately.
I mean, I would kind of make the argument she's the most interesting part of AEW right now. There's really, I mean, outside of watching Ospreay have cool matches, which, I mean, he's the best in the world, and I love that. But like, she's playing a
Steve
character.
Is so mad.
Steven hates this. I know Steven hates Toni Storm.
It's not even that. It's not okay. It's not even that. It's the fact that I got to deal with that, and then it's the Will Ospreay. I will say again, he's a great wrestler. He's now having, 12-minute matches with a guy who's not even considered a wrestler on AEW. He's considered a manager. A manager. All he's doing is beating up jobbers, and it's taken the same amount of time that it's taken him to beat up potential, world champions. Why is the guy that you are saying is the best wrestler in the world, the most sought after free agent in the world that we're doing victory laps left around? I'm not saying you, I'm talking Tony Khan here.
Yeah.
Why are you doing victory laps around WWE? Had him come out there to talk shit to WWE on your television show, now taking 15 minutes to beat up Lee Moriarty and Shane Taylor and every other jobber in a half, because Lee Moriarty's won one match this year. One match.
Point taken. But you can't go out there and give a Ospreay versus Danielson every week on TV.
No, but you can, if you're spending, the 4.5 minutes that it took Hook to beat Johnny TV, you can give me 3 minutes of Shane Taylor, man being the huge guy of taking a quick moment to overpower him, and then with Ospreay going, I'm the fucking greatest, bro, and do that shit.
I'll take the Moriarty argument before I'll take the Shane Taylor, because Shane Taylor outweighs a dude by about, I don't know, a time and a half.
But so again, not a wrestler. He's a promoter.
It's okay, but it doesn't mean that he's going to be easy to pin either. Just because he's not a wrestler. I mean, he's a big motherfucker. So I'll give you that. But okay, let's get into what we were talking about earlier. Out of the blue, we get this text in the group thread. And this is, I mentioned this to my wife earlier because I was like, I had this conversation with Steven and I was like, I felt kind of like a dick in my response, but it was a thing that popped up in my Threads feed the other day. Anyway, we get this thing from Steven about numbers of how many people have wrestled and median wrestlers and average wrestlers and hours per week, etc.
This is all from Brandon Thurston's Twitter. He posted about how the average there's been 111 unique wrestlers on the WWE 5 hours of program between Raw and SmackDown since the beginning of this year. So
then we got into a dialogue about this, that, and the other. And this was a thing that I thought was pretty funny that I retweeted or whatever you call it on Threads. This just could be just a random dude. I don't know. It popped up in my feed. I don't know if it's somebody that has a site or whatever. It says wrestling YouTubers have really sucked the fun out of watching professional wrestling. All they do is talk about TV ratings and attendances. As a fan, I don't watch wrestling for ratings. I watch because I love the product. So I thought that was my counterpoint to Steven's thing because I was just like, what are these numbers? It was like, so what I said to Jamie it was like we were in his head, we were having a conversation and he sent this to us and expected us to just analyze what this meant in the moment. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it was just facts and figures and facts and figures. So instead of my usual go outside nerd response, it was this thing. And you have very valid points.
Because, the counterpoint of this is there's over 200 unique wrestlers in the same 5 hour block of programming that AEW has. Yeah. And 100 of those I don't give a shit about.
Point taken.
Because it's 6 months of CML guys that, we're never seeing again. It's the ROH Undisputed Kingdom Trios champions, or it's, Triple A's, or the in New Japan people sneaking in. Jeff Cobb. I like Jeff Cobb. I don't care about him on AEW because all I know he's not signed there. I like the grizzled young veterans. They might even be signed. I don't know. All they've done is shown up and in their debut match, got the shit beat out of them, moved on. You get these.
Haven't heard from them since.
Yeah, you get these people that show up and do absolutely jack and shit other than having a 15-minute match with somebody. And sure, some of those matches are okay to watch; they're fun, but I don't care about them. It's the promo that sells the shows. It is the promo that makes the show more than just dudes going out there and physically dancing with each other in an aggressive capoeira. If you do the Bob's Burger reference,
Patrick.
I mean, yeah, that's like I put in the group chat about TV ratings. I don't disagree with a lot of the criticisms that people have with AEW. I get them all. I think where I kind of get annoyed is specifically when it's about television ratings. Because people will criticize AEW and then say, I'm right because look at these TV ratings. And it's like I put in the group chat. There's not a single thing. There's not an art form where we look at like the commercial success of something to gauge whether it is artistically successful.
Why? I mean, I'm not arguing the ratings in this case because, ratings... It's a product of a time that is now kind of past until cable makes its comeback, and it's coming just in a different format. But to me, the ratings do serve a purpose to the programmer, should serve a purpose to Tony Khan or Triple H or something. If you are seeing a dip in a section repeatedly by a performer, that performer probably shouldn't be on your TV as much as they are because people aren't interested in that. And you see that with movies where if, a movie doesn't perform, if it could be hyped left and John Carter, one of my favorite movies, when that shit came out, nobody went and saw it, cost 100 people their job at Disney. And what went from a potential trilogy to a one-off that is, it's now a cult classic in a way.
Yeah.
But because those numbers didn't match the money they're putting into it, you should take away from that, well, this isn't working the way I want it to. We either need to adjust this or remove this. And that's what they should be using it for.
I mean, yeah.
The numbers, how many, the variance between AEW to WWE shouldn't matter anymore.
The problem with that is that the number of people in the crowd yelling, "You should retire, you should retire," and saying basically the same thing on Twitter and Threads does not match up with what the numbers are saying, because the numbers say that according to, well, this could be according to Jericho, but supposedly the numbers are saying that Jericho's segments are the most highly rated ones in AEW.
I haven't looked
fucking weird.
I haven't paid attention in the last 2 weeks to see how it goes.
I think maybe if you want to look back like quarter by quarter, hour by hour ratings, like maybe, but like I mentioned in the group that the NBA right now is going through this thing where supposedly, I mean, not supposedly, their television ratings are down. But they are going to get more money for this TV deal than they've ever gotten. This is going to be the biggest TV deal that the NBA has ever seen. So, like, I think the television ratings and the way that we gauge them now have become so divorced from the way people consume content. Like, if I was AEW, I would be much more concerned. What do our TikTok numbers look like? What do our social media impressions look like? Who is moving the needle in that way? Because I think that is where the future, like if you were seeing a fan base kind of grow, that's where I think you're going to see it. And like I mentioned in the group there, like I think we all would agree that AEW's fan base is way more online, quote unquote, than WWE's fan base. The people who are the most online are the people who are most likely to find a way to get around and pirate the streaming so they don't have to pay a cable company or, get do like Steven does and get the pay-per-views illegally, like things like that. Not to say that Steven's a criminal, but sometimes you gotta look at a man's brown eye before you watch the wrestling. Yeah, sometimes that shit happens. But it's like that. But it's like
we all have our crosses to bear, man.
Yeah. But that is the only thing that really annoys me about the discourse is where people will be like, AEW sucks and the ratings are, they back up my claim. And it's like, well, it's like I said, in 2013, NCIS did almost double the ratings of Breaking Bad. And I don't think you could find a person in the world that will tell you NCIS is a better show than Breaking Bad.
I'm looking at May 8th at this stage. Jericho is on that show.
It's easier to access.
According to this breakdown, he is the second lowest viewership during that.
Okay.
The Adam Copeland, Brody King ending with post-match Kyle O'Reilly did less than that.
I was basing what I said off of a random tweet I saw the other day. It's not like I was seeking that information out.
The next lowest would have been Cassidy and Beretta, the second half of that match, because, even like I said, that whatever.
And here's the thing. I'm as big of an AEW fan as you're going to find. I don't watch the show live. I watch the show Saturday morning, Sunday morning.
But that should still be counted in the plus sevens.
So what are the plus?
What does that mean?
Like in the 7 days after the original for playbacks.
So are they judging that like based on when people watch it on Hulu or whatever?
Yeah, that's my understanding of it. But I've never been a Nelson family, nor have I ever worked at Nelson, so I couldn't.
I don't think that's how it works. I could be wrong.
I don't. That's the thing. I don't know. What do these numbers even mean?
But again, there's one of those. SmackDown is on Fox, which is going to pull in a significant number of views because it is a broadcast television. I don't have to have That's what I was saying. It's easier to access NCIS than it was Breaking Bad.
Well, yeah, because people's, if you watch the local news and you're a Fox affiliate, there's a lot of grandpas and grandmas that just watch the news and then fall asleep on the recliner and then SmackDown ends up coming on at 7 or 8 o'clock or whatever.
But that's to me, I'm not, while I may have had that, that mentality at one point, I've moved past that. To me, you're looking at these numbers to see what the fans are interested in. And there are so many things where it's like the things that they are pushing, the Young Bucks or whatever, are generally being those valleys as opposed to the peaks.
But that could just be as the later in the show, people are more willing to turn stuff off.
Well, if that's the case, then you need to be adjusting where it is too.
I mean, that could be, but I just don't. To me, I would much rather look at attendance numbers. So attendance can go up and down. Now, whether that's because I've seen a lot of people online who are like, hey, AEW is coming to town Wednesday, and like I literally have not seen any kind of advertisement for it. Like there are things like that they have to get better at too. There's 10 other metrics I would look at to gauge success or not success of someone before I would look at ratings.
But let me get back to the heart of what that 100. Use that time to showcase people, to build personality, to build connection with your audience, as opposed to having them show up on a Dynamite and then coming back 2 Dynamites later.
I'm not arguing that at all. I mean, I feel like this was saying, like, I felt bad that I responded in the way I did because I felt like I was being super negative, but I was like, what does this even mean? But once you started talking about it, like, yeah, I fully agree that, like, why would I want to see a jobber on when I could see fucking Takeshita or Danny Garcia or Sky Blue or somebody? Like,
as you said in that opening hot match of Dynamite, we got Jeff Cobb. Why wasn't that Takeshita?
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree. There's no disagreement there.
Why was it Danielson and FTR versus Lance Archer and the Righteous of all people?
No, I mean, I agree. I just feel like sometimes when people online start shitting on AEW, particularly when they bring up things, because the TV ratings is, if you go on Squared Circle, that's anything anybody talks about, like everybody's become an expert on TV. It feels disingenuous and it feels like you have an agenda when you don't put the broader context out there of like, everything is seeing dips in TV because the landscape and the way people consume content is changing drastically. It's changing week by week. It's changing month by month. That's why people like the NBC and Peacock are so willing to go to get NBA, because live sports are about the only thing that you can count on to get any kind of viewership. So like when I see things like that, and I don't see people bring up the fact that like, if you look at Raw year by year, it's also down, but nobody will say that. It's like, it just comes, it feels like you have an agenda that you're trying to put out there.
I referenced it as Rebel Moon, but I mean, it could be just as easily the Expendables. AEW to me are these action movies where it's the ensemble cast and we spend 5 minutes getting introduced to a character, and then we spend 5 minutes being introduced to a character. We get another character, and then we get another character, and then we get another character, 200 characters long. So, I mean,
I think we're all probably kind of talking about the same thing right now. We're just talking about it in different terms.
So, I mean, it's a movie that just keeps introducing people that have no connection to anybody else and have no connection to the audience, that just keeps, as I say, it's the Magnificent Seven. If they said 7 isn't enough, let's get another 42 in these 2 hours.
Well, I mean, the 3 things that I brought up about Collision were not about the matches.
Yeah.
They were about part of a story or something different, right? So, like, I feel like you mentioned there were a lot of squash matches. They could have used that time to have had better quality matches instead of just throwing a bunch of people on screen for this, putting them on screen.
It's not even just better quality matches. It's better quality matches with people that you are seeing on a regular basis, and not just, the people we see the most on Collision are the jobbers, because they are there on a weekly basis to lose to whoever drew the short stick on having to work on a Saturday at AEW.
That's what it does kind of feel like. It's like a rotation. It's like an on-call thing. It's like you're on call this week, so you have to go do Collision.
Brian Keith is a regular on Collision. That doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Well,
do y'all have anything else for AEW before we move into WWE?
No, I'm still super stoked about Double or Nothing. I'll order it and watch it. And Ospreay and Roddy Strong is like, that's enough for me to fucking pay the $50. So
I thought about doing the card rundowns, but there's 2. We got that card and the WWE. So
well, and real quick about the Ospreay thing, it's like so many times with AEW, it's like, damn, this would have been a good story had you started it 4 weeks ago, because Ospreay and Roddy have the interaction backstage where Ospreay brings up the fact, like, you've never respected me and you've always thought of me as a kid and all, like, we've crossed paths. And Roddy's like, yeah, because you're immature and you're a dipshit. It's like, man, that would have been good to explore.
But you can't do that
weeks ago
because Ospreay's only there half the time.
Well, tape some stuff then. Do something. Figure something out.
That's the thing. If you're going to have these stars that are not going to be at your show because they're off doing other shows or they're home because that's what their contract says, when they're there, you do the maximum 8-hour tape.
That just made it sound like he's expected to be there Wednesday and Friday.
No, but he ain't there every Wednesday either.
He's been there pretty much every Wednesday lately, whether he's wrestled or not.
Must be in the lead up. We'll call that the lead up to the pay-per-view, but that's about it because he was wrestling every other week.
It did seem like the Ospreay Roddy thing kind of disappeared for a couple weeks.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, it's because they were real. Ospreay was hot off the presses after the win. He wins the little gauntlet match or whatever. And then it just kind of went, all right, well, he's on Saturdays and he's kind of wrestling, but Roddy's not there to interact with him. Also, like Wardlow was there Wednesday night, but hasn't been there any of the other places, but he's standing in the background. It's just a little bit of like, what are we kind of doing here?
It's like everybody in that company has a different work schedule, and none of them are consecutive Wednesdays and or Fridays.
It's almost like they need somebody else to be helping Tony with creative.
Yep,
it's almost like they need a writing room.
It's almost like it's too many people back there have written in their contracts creative control, and the control of the exercise is I don't want to work on a weekly basis.
I mean, cool.
I ain't mad at it, but
you got enough people though that you can balance that shit out. But that's for another day. All right, let's switch gears and get into SmackDown. I'm gonna need some little help here because I watched Late Night with the Devil on Friday night, and then my brain was kind of fried by the time I started watching SmackDown. I fast forwarded through basically all of SmackDown. Because at that point I was tired and I couldn't focus because I kept thinking about the movie, and I was like, nothing on here seems consequential. So I'm going to just lean on the two of them.
The two things that stand out on this particular episode, besides Solo coming out and saying he talks to Roman on a regular basis, which, furthers that storyline of the bloodline going off, were the opening Queen of the Ring and the closing King of the Ring with Bianca and Tiffany and Randy and Carmelo, both of which ended with the people that are the established wrestlers that have been there longer term going over, but both of them had enough moments for those new talents to shine so that even in the loss, they're still getting elevated. What was it? Carmelo said, "I didn't win. I didn't lose. I'm sorry. I lost." What the fuck did he say? It was I didn't win. I just didn't lose, or something to that effect. Yeah. And that's right, because sure he was on his back for 3. I mean, the way he leapt into that RKO, dude's got talent, but and he's showcasing himself to be ready for that jump when the time comes, which should come sooner than later. And the same goes with Tiffany. The weakest, I mean, you're trying to keep Jade looking strong while still getting her out of the picture. And, it was a goofy way to do it, but it still makes her look somewhat decent. It just, unfortunately, it came against somebody who is struggling. While they are better than they used to be, they are still struggling. And you had 2 people that are in that same kind of learning curve that didn't quite mesh as well as they could have. AJ had a match with somebody, didn't he?
I also fast forwarded most of SmackDown. I did see the 2 matches, the Carmelo Randy and Tiffany Bianca, and everything else did just kind of feel like, I can just kind of go through this. They keep adding little things to Solo's character.
That was the thing, though. We got the loophole that Logan Paul came out and said, it's not my championship on the line, it's just yours. So that pretty much sold how that match is going to go.
Yeah,
But yes, they're adding more to Solo.
And it's little things like, hey, this week the jacket's red. It can be little things like that a little pop of color here. He's continuing to get more comfortable in this kind of role. So I enjoyed that. I think Tiffany's going to be a big star.
So what about the backlash with her? Like, did y'all hear about the tweet that she deleted or whatever it was, Instagram?
Yeah, somebody posted something. She retweeted it. and it was some racist shit, and she deleted it. But
So what was it?
It was a picture of when they were doing the tag match with Jade and Bianca, and Tiffany goes over and punches Bianca off the side of the ring. And the person, if you're just looking at it as a GIF, which a lot of, I mean, when I'm on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck we're calling it this week,
Twitter still.
If I see a video, I don't always hit that speaker thing, because to me, Twitter's GIFs. I don't unless it's something where it's pointed out to me that this is a video and I need to watch. I just move on. That one had a speaker.
Oh,
and it says some racist shit.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was an innocent thing. Like Steven said, so many times you get on the internet, you don't look at videos. But this is a teachable moment.
Yep.
Where you bring into the office, hey, we love everything you're doing. We got a lot of plans for you. You're going to be a big star. You got to be careful.
Now, there might also be, I mean, she also has some other beliefs that, put 50% of the population against her.
What is that?
She supports a different presidential candidate than the other half of the people that support that presidential candidate.
I think, honestly, here's what I would do. And they probably do something like this, but like, I'm sure when they bring these people into NXT and they sign them, much like the NFL rookies have like a media symposium that they have to attend, I would just have all of these people that you have big plans for, fly John Cena in once a year and just have John Cena give a lecture. Here's how you be the most unproblematic, down the middle, everybody loves you star of all time. Here's how you got to get the people in your life together.
But you're saying that, but if you look back to John Cena, back when John Cena was the doctor of Thugonomics,
but the whole program was like that though. John Cena is a lot like LeBron James, where it's like there's nothing negative you can find about the guy. Now, does that mean that he's squeaky clean all the time? No, it just means he's very careful about the things that get out about him and the people that are around him. And this, much like Tiffany Stratton, like, hey, 101.
Yeah.
Don't just retweet everything. Double check it, triple check
after a certain time.
I mean, John Cena's Instagram, he just posts pictures. There's not even anything.
Make sure it ain't got a speaker thing on it. If it does, click it. Find out what you're retweeting.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
So she got caught up.
I think to me, because when I first saw the tweet, I was like, okay, I don't see what the workup was. And then once I got, several comments deep, I was like, oh, speaker.
Yeah.
Did somebody just dub some shit on top of it or something?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Like I said, it'll be like it's already probably forgotten about. So
I don't think there's any. From what all the reports I've seen said that nobody gives a shit internally, but that's not saying much because a lot of people internally in WWE didn't give a shit about a lot of stuff.
They got.
I don't know that they're the moral high ground on what's considered good or not good.
Yeah.
Do y'all got anything else for SmackDown, or do you want to get into? I took a few notes on Raw from last night.
Well, SmackDown has just been. It's been fine.
Yeah, and I would say right now WWE is, and I'm going to say this in a term that makes it sound like it's not good, but they're suffering from a influx of decent wrestling because they are focused heavily on the King and Queen. Now, if this continues post. Again, Saudi Arabia, where we're showing again that moral high ground.
Yeah, they have goodwill with the audience.
Yeah,
because this past year's WrestleMania had the culmination of Cody Rhodes taking down the Big Bag Monster.
But they're also they're having extended wrestling matches that are decent because they are showcasing people that have skill in wrestling.
Sure, but if this goes on for another month and a half, 2 months, where it's still just like, hey, what's happening? I think fans will be a lot more vocal and maybe a lot less forgiving.
I will give them also, they are doing a lot more story focus as well. Some news stories and stuff popped off on Raw that entertained the shit out of me. And I know we talked about Bronn, needing to do something more than spear people. He did something more than spear people. Sure, he speared this dude, but then he took it to another level of trying to murder a dude.
Yeah, my first note for Raw says Bronn has anger issues. My man is talking to himself in the ring.
Yeah, he's pissed. He's like, this isn't what I'm here to do. He's acknowledging what the audience is acknowledging as well. And he's taking it out and blaming the authority figure.
So this was the first thing I thought, because the last few weeks has been like, hit a dude with a spear, pin him, get out of there. So he hits the dude with a spear, and I was like, okay, well, here we go. He's done. And then he continues to like drag him around the ring for a few minutes. And well, the guy tries to get away, and I was like, all right, this man should already be down. And then they just kept going for a few minutes. And then I was like, all right, well, we're done here. And then 30 minutes later, he kills Ricochet in a locker backstage.
Yep. Because we recognize that he was being thrown up against jobbers. And he recognizes that he's being thrown up against jobbers, and he's insulted by it, so he's made a storyline out of that. That's Will Ospreay right there. That's what I want from Will Ospreay. You're throwing jobbers at me. I'm the best pro wrestler in the world, and you're feeding me this chump-ass shit. I shouldn't be getting, I mean, don't get me wrong, Bronn doing it is because he's just a big ball of muscle and anger works, but that's a story just as easily for Will.
I mean, I probably should be entertained by this. I can't tell you why I'm not.
I didn't say I was entertained. I just said he's got anger issues.
I don't know what it is about. There's just something I don't like about Bronn, and I don't know what it is.
And I'm gonna say this is another thing that bothers me. You can't have two people with the same name on the show. I'm getting on. I don't complain about it on AEW on here, but it bugs the shit out of me that I've got to deal with which Adam are we talking about.
Oh yeah.
But Bronn, I'm sorry, one of them got to change the name. You got to have a fight for the name.
Yeah. But it's like
now that Strowman is back.
There's something that doesn't do it for me about Bronn. That, like, when I watch Carmelo, I'm like, this, okay, I see it. I see whatever WWE sees in Carmelo. I see it. Dude looks like a star. I don't see that when I watch Bronn, and I can't.
I'll tell you what it is.
I can't point to you what it is.
It's the Wardlow factor. He may be big and athletic, but he's working with nothing else.
But we're starting to get that something else with the anger issues that are coming out. They're giving him like a little bit of character work to work on. And I think if he plays with it right, just like they're doing with Solo, if they play with that little development right, it'll build somewhere. But
right now he's just a lunatic with his coworkers.
And you know, that's fine. I mean, it's a start. And like I said, this entertained the shit out of me because it was like, all right, yes, this was a jobber throwaway match, but you recognize it too and you're mad. Cool. Let's go with this.
Yeah, I guess probably I just feel like
I think it's you're saying it's the word. I say it's the hook factor.
It's yeah, I think it might be. I don't see the charisma this guy has outside of the fact.
It's a dude that has a relative in the industry that's getting ahead that doesn't have what you're wanting to see out of him. But I think he has more of it than what Hook has because he at least has the physical stature of it.
Oh, he's got the stature, sure. But like to me, it's like they're trying to make him a Brock Lesnar-esque type of character.
Well, dude, I mean, have you seen the dude move?
But here's what I'm getting at though. I watched Brock Lesnar walk into the UFC, which is legitimately real, and become the heavyweight champion. If Bronn had some kind of cachet like that, like if Bronn had come from the NFL or something, or Bronn would have had a gold medal, something legitimate, then when he comes in and beats the shit out of people, you go, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, fucking, did you see what he did? I mean, this motherfucker
but see,
played in the NFL.
That's what he's getting at too. He's mad at that shit too, because what this King of the Ring that he was overlooked by would have been an attempt for him to show off and prove that he is something more than just his uncle's, next generation. So he had the opportunity and it was taken away from him. And so he's going to punish everybody around him. And I think that's that good start.
We'll see. But
I mean,
still,
if you see that when he hits them ropes, I mean, he is.
He's athletic as shit.
He's it, but I think to your point, a guy like Carmelo is special because he can lose a match, and you still go, yeah, but he's still a fucking star. That Bronn has to be portrayed this way or I don't know if he has anything else to fall back on.
He will need to be established as a monster before he loses,
right,
for a little bit.
And I think
they did that a little bit with him down in NXT. But I think what we're seeing, and I sent you the times that Ricochet died.
Yeah,
I think we're about to see another time Ricochet dies, because that's who you're going to throw at this dude in order to show some of those power moves where it just literally turns a dude inside out.
Why's Ricochet got to take it, man?
Because Ricochet is a dude that can make people look. He's not. I mean, I wish he would get some kind of mid-range title. He maybe will some days, but he is there to make other people look like they are fucking a god.
I just think when it comes to Bronn, out of all the young stars that WWE has presented to the audience in the past,
he's the weakest.
4 months. I think it's by far
not quite, because while I think Jade has potential, I think she is your weakest of those new ones.
Her and Bronn suffer from the exact same problem.
Mm-hmm. They look the part, but
they need something a little bit more to them.
Yeah, whereas it's like, I watch Carmelo, I'm like, that's a star, you do so much with him. I watch Tiffany Stratton, she's a star, you do so much with him. I watch Dragunov, I'm like, when he's in a suit.
Lyra Valkyrie, I mean, she put on it,
And it's Bronn, it's like, okay, so he's a dude and he beats people up.
And now
he runs fast off the ropes, and now he's mad. Okay. I mean, we'll see where it goes. But
speaking of big dudes, Braun Strowman, another Braun, comes in last night to help out at the end. He didn't really help, but he was just there.
I didn't. Was Braun there? I saw. I didn't realize he was still alive, but Andre showed up.
There we go. Yeah. Awesome Truth gets an assist from Andre the Giant and beats Judgment Day. So Andre the Giant has to fight, or gets to fight, JD McDonough next week, because now Priest is mad that Judgment Day lost. Didn't get the titles back. So he says, you got to fight Andre the Giant, a.k.a. Braun Strowman. I thought when R-Truth said that he had gotten some help from Andre the Giant, I thought that he meant Andrade for some reason.
That would have been a solid one.
And then
where is he now?
Look, did I send you all the thing about, it was a TikTok I saw about why none of the promotions can figure out what they're supposed to do with the Andrade. They're like, he got mad because they couldn't figure out what to do with him in AEW. Thought he was going to go back and get in some big spots in WWE, and now it's like, oh, he might.
I think we all
trying to be in the LWO, but maybe he's not. Now what? Didn't
we predict this? Didn't we say this was going to happen? Like, hey, you can not like AEW, but you can go back to WWE. You ain't going to be main event in WrestleMania.
Well, I mean, realistically, he's there for one reason. I mean, I know you're going to hate to hear this because you like the guy. He's there to make Charlotte happy.
Oh.
And when Buddy comes back, he's there to make Rhea happy.
I mean, it's smart on WWE to this is like when the Jets sign Aaron Rodgers and he's like, hey, you got to sign all my buddies. And they're like, all right, fuck it. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll get them.
Yeah, well, before we do that, talk to us about your Achilles, sir.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, this is what we kind of said with Andrade. Like, the grass necessarily isn't always greener on the other side. But yeah, I have no idea. He's disappeared completely. And also, who is the other guy hurt? The dude that he replaced in the WrestleMania match.
Dragon Lee.
Dragon Lee. Where's he at?
I think he might be injured too.
Okay. Because he was also in AEW, right? Or did I make that up?
No, he did not.
He never appeared in AEW?
No, he's related to people in AEW.
Oh, I thought he made a couple of appearances there.
No, he's been down in NXT. Roosh and somebody else. I want to say it's not Serpentico, but it's something.
Dralistico.
Dralistico, thank you.
Yeah.
They're all related.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I'm still completely bored by Damian Priest as World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah. But hey, we got like I said, we got Io and Lyra, and that I'm glad it went that way because you get a new up and comer that they're giving that push to in a way that I don't know. You start showing off stuff.
Oh, sorry. I was just like, according to this, Lee made his All Elite Wrestling debut on the August 17th edition of Dynamite, participating in the first round of the AEW World Trios Championship Tournament, where he teamed with
What year was
La
that?
Faction and Governable. It just says August 17th.
Because he's been in NXT for a while.
I feel like he had a couple appearances and then he signed with NXT.
Maybe, but it's been a few years then.
Yeah, probably.
But we got Gunther and Uso, and that was a solid,
Yeah. We praise WWE for these long takes, long take shots. I would just caution WWE that the reason we liked them is because they were used sparingly.
Yeah.
So let's keep doing that.
The one with Jey Uso felt super forced.
It's self-forced. Yeah, it feels forced.
Like he was just trying, he was at a point where he was like, "Oh fuck, now what?"
There's an artistry to those things. Yeah. You can't just use them all the time. They're not special if they're used all the time.
The only other thing that really entertained the shit out of me was the Sammy Chad Gable interactions, where Sammy's telling the Alpha Academy to ditch him, and then they go through everybody trying to turn evil, and nobody does. Otis doesn't do it at first, but then after a good old slap to the mush, suddenly he's on, but only half-hearted because he's going to go apologize later. But we're getting there, and then we see him. I mean, the crowd is responding with the Kurt Angle stuff because he sucks. He sucks. Then we get him backstage with the Creeds. So I'm in. I'm ready. I want it.
Yeah, I'll feel better about this storyline once Otis slaps the shit out of him.
Yeah, he needs to. I mean, he will be over instantly the moment he does such. But
yeah, but I'm also ready for Gable with the Creeds.
Yeah.
I really kind of thought Otis was going to make the turn last night, but he didn't.
See, that's the problem. I mean, what makes that better is the fact that the Creeds have the legitimacy and their wrestling ability that Takasawa does not bring. I mean, the dude can wrestle. I'm not saying that he can't, but the way he has been presented throughout his career, there is a comedy act.
Sure. Yeah.
Maxine is not to that level where she is improved, but she is still, there's a huge gulf between her and the other performers on that show.
Yeah, and then the final match last night was Gunther versus Jey. We talked about Jey's extended entrance.
Yep.
Good match. Good way to end the show.
That ended quick too. I mean, it was like I turned my head for 1 second as that they did their little ending segment, and next thing I know, I'm watching people on an island.
Yeah, it was like I think it kind of just cut abruptly, unless I'm mistaken, because it was like he got the pin and then.
We got to go.
Yeah, I don't think that they get the luxury of having weekly overruns on USA Network the way that AEW can do it with TBS.
Yeah.
Cause
they've already announced an overrun for tomorrow.
Oh, because it's like, well, fuck, you can take 15 minutes. What we gonna do? We're just playing a movie. Like, I think the thing that comes after Monday Night Raw is like actual and original piece of USA programming. Yeah, they're trying to put on.
If you were doing an overrun consistently, it's not an overrun. That's how long your show goes. Make your show that long. All you're doing now is fucking everybody that has a DVR that's not set to overrun.
Yep.
It's 2024. Set your shit.
Mine does it automatically whenever there's. I don't know why. I mean, I haven't done anything. The only thing that gets screwy with mine is when they do like Battle of the Belts. It just won't record.
Yeah.
Well, that you should thank it.
I'm about to say not that anything happens when Battle of the Belts goes
Speaking
on.
of nothing,
4 years in and they've never changed a title.
And this goes to AEW and to WWE. You can stop the picture-in-picture. It's serving no point at this stage because nothing fucking happens in picture-in-picture.
I never
stop it. Just stop.
I remember there was only one time where there was an Orange Cassidy match that ended in the picture.
They made it a point to say that
was it.
When back when Sammy was still cool and he would be up there with his
cue cards.
Yeah, that was at least mildly entertaining. But there's nothing happening in those segments anymore that is not just your standard toss somebody outside the ring, fight outside the ring for 3 minutes, come back. Person who has been getting beaten up is now in control.
Take a little breather.
Yep.
Yeah. Y'all got anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here? Should be a fun weekend of wrestling, or at least entertaining. Any big surprises you think that could happen at Saudi Arabia and Double or Nothing? Do we finally see Adam Cole come back Sunday night? And do we care? No. Not really.
I don't think he comes back, no. I mean, the only surprise AEW has is MJF, but it seems like it seems like we're out for a minute. It also seems like Kingston is out for a very long time.
He tore his ACL, yeah.
Yeah. So
he ain't making all in.
Yeah.
Because he got, 9 months, they said, for minimum on the ACL?
I mean, the next big WWE surprise would be in the Bloodline story with the returning Roman Reigns, but that ain't going to happen.
Fatu.
I guess
you might get some kind of progression on this Uncle Howdy shit.
All right.
Yeah, they actually referenced the QR codes last night. I was like, okay, now it's a little too much. Nobody fucking cares at this point.
Well, the thing
they had a 20-minute Twitch program. I mean,
yeah, the thing about, again, WWE, this is how you ruin a good thing. The thing that made the first set of Uncle Howdy stuff cool was that it seemed as if the program was being hijacked. It cannot seem like the program is being hijacked when you are explicitly referencing QR codes for people to scan. Mm-hmm. Then it's just a part of the show. So again, much like the long takes that were so cool in this thing, it's like we got to just be careful.
Yeah, if they don't reveal Howdy this weekend, it's past the point of.
I still think it's not coming out till June 15th, but
Jesus Christ,
we'll see.
June 15th?
Clash.
It's a long way.
Well, I mean, it's 25 days.
It seems like a long way.
It's almost February.
Wrestling is in this weird. All of wrestling these are the dog days. This is post WrestleMania, post everything.
But it's been better than it has been. You got to acknowledge that. I mean, yes, these are those long drawn out periods between them, but it is better than it has been historically.
Sure, but it's still not like
the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, this fucking Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes and The Rock and all this shit, and now it's just like, all right, here we go, and it's whoever, Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes.
So Gunther is going to be King of the Ring, right? And did we figure out what that means for him? It just means like you get to say you're King of the Ring.
Is he going to wear the crown? No way. I think if you win King of the Ring, you have to, like, it's mandatory. You have to be called, like, like when Booker won, King Booker. And you got to wear the crown. You have to wear the cape. You got to wear the staff. And so it would entertain the shit out of me if it was King Gunther.
He's already the ring general. Now he's fucking ring king. What about the ladies? Who wins?
I mean, seems like Bianca has to kind of.
Seems like Bianca, yeah.
I mean, having Lyra get that far is the win for her, whereas Bianca kind of needs something to give her that moment of personality.
Bianca needs a heel turn.
Mm-hmm.
That's just plain and simple. That's what she needs. She needs to freshen up her character. She needs to take a steel chair and hit Jade Cargill over the head, and it shouldn't be Nia Jax the one that's doing it. It should be Bianca. Now, whether we get that, I don't know.
Hear me out. Can she hit Nia also and write her off TV?
Well, no, that'd make her a babyface then if she did that. If she hit Nia. It'd be like if someone right now in AEW attacked Chris Jericho, if you tried to make him a heel, be like, well, thanks God. Appreciate you. I'm going to cheer you.
Chris Jericho. All right, well, I think that's going to wrap us up. Y'all be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Alabama Slam Pod. Be sure to follow our network of fellow podcasters at thealabamatake.com. You can follow the Alabama Take on all social medias. There's different podcasts that are released throughout the week. A couple of sports podcasts, Star Wars podcasts, book podcasts, TV podcasts, and music podcasts. And I think that's it. You can get a t-shirt for the Alabama Slam podcast on tpublic.com. Just search Alabama Slam podcast. You should be able to find it. It's also in the Alabama Take store there on tpublic.com. And we appreciate it, and we will talk to y'all next week.